Good morning, you're watching the F&O Show on Bloomberg Quint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Good morning, Navneet. I'm Agam Akil. The top headlines. Indian markets mirror global cues. Nifty trades near 10,800. Broader markets trade with cuts. India VIX declines. Open interest surges in ICICI, Prudential and Mindtree as traders take fresh positions in their respective futures. And the metal index snaps its 4-day fall to be the only sectoral gainer. And Dish TV jumps as much as 4% in early trade after Rakesh Jhunjhunwala's Rare Enterprises buys 0.7% stake in the company.
Okay, those are the top headlines at this hour. Let's also tell you what's happening in the futures and options market. As of now, markets have been trading in the negative territory. We've been tracking the global cues where we did see rate high coming in from FOMC this time around. So 10,808 is where Nifty is trading. Bank Nifty is seen also cuts of almost 84 points. Well, pull up the Nifty futures right now, and futures where the discount has been widening. Yesterday's discount was 11 points. Right now, discount is almost 5 points in trade, so watch out for that. But remember, Bank Nifty is the one which is going to be in focus today, as it's Thursday. Today is the day for the Bank Nifty weekly options to expire. What range to watch out for Bank Nifty today? It is somewhere between 26,400 on the downside to about 26,800 on the upside. At least that's what the options data is indicating so far. But let me tell you the most active strikes, for Bank Nifty, it's 26,800 call. 27,000 call is the one where maximum open interest lies. That's telling you there is some open interest addition coming for these call strikes. Maybe the expiry would take place below that mark of 26,800. And on the put side, you've got 26,500 put as well as the 26,400 put, which are active right now. In terms of Nifty option strikes, remember the maximum open interest has now shifted from the 10,600 put strike to 10,700 put strike. What is that telling you? The base for this market is moving higher. We've seen the Nifty PCR also going up. There's a lot of put writing which has come in the system in the last few sessions at 1.62 PCR of yesterday. We don't know if now it looks overbought or not. We'll check with our experts. But in today's session, we've seen some call writing coming back for 10,800, and the 10,900 call strikes have seen some bit of OI addition. Lastly, just want to point out what the FIs have been doing. Just one data point, that they've been building up a lot of contracts on the put short side, which basically are your position on the buy side. So remember, they've added over 30,000 contracts on put short in the last 3 sessions. Even in yesterday's session, we did see some bit of contracts being added there, Agam.
Well, in terms of stock futures, active stock futures, again, we have a little bit of a repetition here, but I'm going to start off with something like an ICICI Prudential. We're seeing some fresh shorts building in after ICICI has suggested that they're looking to sell stake in that company. Mindtree is looking at considerable weakness right now. It's declined by as much as 3.5%, an increase of 12% in open interest. And, Glenmark Pharma also up and about. That's seeing fresh shorts building in. On the other hand, KPIT Technologies looking at fresh longs, with Sun TV also buzzing fresh shorts there. In terms of unwinding, not too much to speak for. Well, there you have it. As a matter of fact, Godfrey Phillips and Castrol India seeing very little change in open interest. It's going to be about ICICI Prudential today, and, well, some profit taking in Mindtree, Navneet.
Okay, we'll be watching out for all those stock futures in today's session. We'll also be getting some views from our technical experts. But before we get our guest on the show today, here's a reminder for you all. If you have any queries in the futures and options market, do call us now on 022-4540-4141. You can also write to us on Twitter, Facebook with AskPQ hashtag. Well, let's get our F&O experts then. Gaurav Bissa of LKP Securities and Ashish Chaturmohta of Sanctum Wealth are here with us. Good morning to both of you gentlemen, and appreciate you joining us today on Bloomberg Quint. Ashish, let me come to you first. Today is the day when we're tracking global cues as well. The US markets ended weak. Asian markets in the morning were also showing some bit of cuts after the rate hike came about. For the Indian markets now, for the June series, do you think that we'll be able to touch that 11,000 mark? Because you know what, in the last 2 out of the 4 trading sessions, we've been ending off the day's high.
So good morning, Navneet. We are at a very critical mark. Technically speaking, we are forming a major triangle formation, and the breakout of that triangle comes about 10,860 zone. And but till we don't see a clear breakout about this 10,860, based on some indicators or how index contributors are suggesting, we can say that there is a very, very reasonable support around 10,700. The likelihood of Nifty crossing this 10,860 is high, but for all practical purposes, we need a clear decisive move beyond 10,860 to convincingly say that we are heading towards those all-time high. And once that happens, I think a move towards even 11,200 or 300 is not an issue. But whether we'll cross this 10,860 or not in a very short term is something which I would not like to preempt. I'll allow it to happen. At the same time, around 10,700 there is a support. So keeping these things in mind, I think markets are going to remain range bound between 10,700 on downside to 10,840, 850 on upside. We are seeing some kind of liquidation happening even in the larger cap names. So there is some profit booking happening. It doesn't mean there is a clear short build up which we are witnessing. So I can only say that allow this range to get breakout on either side, and then we can convincingly take some directional call at an index level.
Okay, Gaurav, good morning to you as well. Are you also expecting some consolidation to come through before you'd like to take bets on the direction towards the upside or the downside?
Good morning. Well, the trend has been quite strong, and we have seen on multiple occasions, and generally it happens that once we see a small breakout sort of coming in, the consolidation follows, and a small dip actually is a good correction, good healthy correction, so to speak of. As long as Nifty is trading about 10,780, 800 mark, things should be fine. And as long as Bank Nifty is trading about 26,450, 500 mark, things should be fine. There can be small dips on the intraday basis, but overall the trend is quite strong. And I think one can have a stop loss of 10,750, buy Nifty on small dips for targets of 10,900, 950.
Okay, that's the view coming in on the markets. But how to play this market via options? Let's just check with our experts. Ashish, are you staying completely away from taking any sort of call on Nifty or Bank Nifty?
Yeah, I think so. See, if you look at even the volumes in last 3-4 days have been on the lower side. So, till you don't see a clear volume to suggest some trend, I think it's better to stay sideline. Based on index level, I can always say writing a short straddle or a strangle makes sense. But it is also not giving a right set of data conviction, which I can say that one should do that. So it's better to stay light. And once you get a clarity, then taking a call. So I think by the next week when I am coming on this show, I think we will get a better clarity in terms of index trade.
All right, well, there you have it. So that's the view on the Nifty. Gaurav, how about you? How are you playing benchmarks then?
I would recommend buying 26,700 call options quoting at 20 rupees. I think one can have a stop loss of 5 or 10 rupee. If it sustains levels of 26,450 today, there's a possibility a minor jump can be seen, maybe a temporary jump, but nevertheless a jump can be seen, and the stock the option can go towards the level of 50, 55. So I think this is what is suitable, one can buy here.
Okay, that's the option strategy coming in on Bank Nifty, but let's also get you some strategies going on individual stock futures for the day. Ashish, and you're compensating for not giving us an index call. You've got 3 long calls for the day.
So I think where we have seen a conviction in terms of open interest addition and all that stuff, I think Colgate is one stock which is looking extremely positive. And even if market gets weakened down, I think this is one stock which is very, very solid in terms of the price momentum. So I think 1230 is a very, very strong support for Colgate. 1290 to 1300 is a target I'm expecting in Colpal. Another stock would be Hindalco, where I think a good open interest addition of almost 5-6% has been seen. There is a long accumulation happening. I think 242 should be kept as a trading stop loss for initiating a long in Hindalco. On an upside, 257 is a target I'm expecting in Hindalco. And one stock, from the IT basket is Infosys, I think looks interesting. 1225 should be kept as a stop loss. 1270, 1280 is a target I'm expecting in Infosys in next 3 to 4 trading sessions.
Okay, and Gaurav, how about you? How are you viewing stocks, and what are your bets today?
My first recommendation would be buy on Page Industries. We saw the stock was one of the best gainers in OI segment yesterday, about 17% OI addition being seen yesterday. Today also 2.5% OI addition has been seen so far. When it is given a breakout as well, one can have a stop loss of 25,550. On the other hand, the targets can be around 26,500. Second would be sell on Bajaj Finserv. For the reason that on the higher end, we have seen some of the unwinding happening at 6,050 kind of levels, and it's moved up quite a bit. Strong resistance is seen at those levels. One can play for types of 5,900, 5,950, and sell it for with a stop loss of 6,100.
Okay, those are a couple of strategies coming on individual stock futures for the day, but let's also tell you some buzzing stock futures. If you would have looked at the open interest build up on Dish TV yesterday, probably would have figured out some things happening. Obviously, yesterday there were some block deals which took place, and post market, as we did get to know who was the buyer, that was Rare Enterprises. Yesterday the open interest was up nearly 40%. Today we've seen some more build up coming about. Can we just pull up the intraday chart of Dish TV and see if it's off the opening highs that one had seen? Currently Dish TV is trading with gains of 1.5%. Yes, it has come off the opening highs. Ashish, yesterday also, I think it went up to levels of 76, 77, but closing came in below that. How is it looking? Only considering I was looking at the open interest data yesterday, there was a lot of build up on the long side.
No, so I think it has given a good breakout, and the kind of activity we have observed and post this block deal, I think there is going to be a lot of buying interest on any dips in the stock. Today almost 4-5% open interest addition, some move towards 76 and some profit booking at lower levels, but I think broadly 72 is going to act as an extremely important support for the stock, and this until 72 is not going to break down. I think there can be a consolidation possible for next 2-3 trading sessions, but eventually we believe 82 to 83 is a level one can expect in Dish TV, but 72 is a stop loss which one should keep for going long in trading in Dish TV.
Okay, we're seeing a sharp correction in Mindtree today. It's down by as much as nearly 3.2%, and there has been a surge in open interest towards shorts right now. It's trading below the mark of 1,000. The June futures at 999. Gaurav, how are you viewing trade on Mindtree right now? Is there more weakness in store for this stock?
It can fall towards level of 975, 980, but I would not sell it aggressively over here. It has a support at lower levels, and I think it's already corrected a lot from 1,050 odd mark yesterday to around 990 today. I think one should avoid it. Rather, I would be a contra buyer. Buy around 980, have a stop loss of 970, and target scale around 1,050. I would be aggressively selling only if it trades consistently below 970 mark. Otherwise, I would be a buyer at lower levels.
Okay. I think Citi also came out with a report today on Mindtree, downgrading it to sell from an earlier rating of almost neutral for this one. Besides Mindtree, let's just check which are the other stocks which are doing pretty well. Nalco, remember, was down yesterday almost to 2.5 to 3%. That's bounced back from the lower levels of yesterday. It's trading with gains of almost 3%. Ashish, how is it looking on the charts? Is there any position that one can take on this one?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, both Hindalco as well as Nalco is the two stocks within the commodity basket showing good amount of strength. In fact, Nalco has been consolidating for last 4-5 trading sessions, and the range breakout comes about 74. So it has taken some resistance today again around those levels, but looking into open interest build up, there's a likelihood that the stock can cross this resistance point of 74, and once that happens, I think a move towards 80, 82 could not be ruled out. So I think as a momentum trade, I think buy above 74 with a stop below 72 to 50 and an upside 80, 82 should be kept as a trading target in Nalco.
All right, well, that's as far as Nalco is concerned. The other stock which is buzzing in trade, of course, is, Cipla. It's not really buzzing, but it is one of the gainers in today's day of trade. Has it given up some of its gains? Yes, it has, as a matter of fact. It's currently trading at 584. It's one of the laggards in the pharma space over the previous few days. Today, of course, it started marginally in the green on account of the fact that the company is planning an IPO for one of its Ugandan units. That said, there is a little bit of an increase in open interest. Gaurav, are you tracking Cipla right now? What's going on with this one? Several other analysts are suggesting that they'd prefer taking other bets in pharma. Are you also of the same opinion?
I am tracking Cipla, and I am of the similar view that if it comes for trading or a slightly medium-term buying, I think Cipla is one I would not be too interested or too keen in buying at the moment. It has a strong resistance at 595, 600 mark, and I think using that as a stop loss, one can sell it. The immediate targets would be around 575, 570. I would buy only if it sustains 600 levels. Else there's a possibility that it may again continue to see some more pressure going ahead. So I would not be too keen in buying SIP at this point in time.
Okay, that's the view on Cipla coming in. Let's switch focus and try and address some viewer queries. And I think we've got Sriram calling us from Chennai. Hi Sriram, good morning to you. And thanks a lot for calling us. Tell us, what do you want to know from our experts?
Yeah, thank you for connecting. I want to understand from the experts, what is the view on the power grid options? If you look at the 215 call, there is no movement for almost a week. So any advice on that?
I don't think if that 215 strike is active or any trade has also taken place. It's out of the money strike for sure, Ashish, because the underlying currently is somewhere about 197, 198. Any thoughts on this one?
So, I think as far as activity is concerned, you will see the activity only once the stock sustains about 204, 205. Till then, I think it will be very, very, because it is deep out of the money, and generally the volatility of the stock is not such that you might see a 4-5% kind of upside in a day. So, I think keeping that in mind, as far as the option activity is concerned, you need to see whether the stock is crossing 203.4, and then only some activity in 215 call option might start happening.
All right, before we take the next query, Ashish, you have witnessed something unusual on the index right now?
I think we've breached the 10,800.
So see, that's what, it's breaking, it has broken 10,800, and also at the same time we are at the 3 days low point. So almost, around 10,780, and once you see a break below this 10,780, then I think there can be some liquidation which will start happening in at an index level. And if you look at, the advanced decline, it is almost 1:2, so which is also supporting some kind of liquidation. So I think till we don't see a clear decisive move about 10,850, try to avoid aggressive longs in the market. In fact, if it breaks 10,780, that will be a time where even aggressive traders can look for shorting index with a stop below 10,820, and on downside 10,700 could be an immediate target at an index level.
Okay, so weakness is clearly out there when it comes to the benchmark indices, but what does it mean for some others? We're going to go in and take another caller from Hyderabad. We have Mahesh on the line. Good morning, Mahesh. Tell us, what would you like to know from our experts?
Yeah, I want to know on Bajaj Financial Services. Like I just heard, 5,900 would be the target for Bajaj Financial Services on that.
Right.
I have already taken that on 6,080. So should I just hold on, or would I sell it at this price?
Okay, so right. So Mahesh, that was Gaurav's call, and he did have a sell on Bajaj Finserv. So because we already have Gaurav telling us about Bajaj Finserv, I'm going to take this query over to Ashish. Ashish, what's your view here?
So, positionally, I am very positive on Bajaj Finserv. But if he is looking for a trading bet, then I think I would suggest a stop loss around 5950 levels. Because, if it breaks 5950, there is a possibility it might again see another 100-150 rupees cut from those levels. But if you ask me positionally, we have been recommending this stock since 5400 levels, and I have been telling most of the clients that the stock has a potential to see 6300 to 6400 levels. But I think as a trader, there should be a discipline, and 5950 should be kept as a trading stop loss. If it doesn't break 5950, you might see a good amount of a recovery on upside towards 6150 zone.
But Ashish, Mahesh is short and he's sold it at 6,080.
Okay.
So on the downside.
He's a short. Okay. Right. So I think now he should keep 6060 as a trading stop loss. Okay. And if these levels are not crossed, he might look for some gains around 5950, 5960 zone.
Okay.
Okay, that's the view coming in on Bajaj Finserv. Let's just take some queries from Facebook. Shivu SB has written to us. He's got Vedanta 240 put strike, and for that he's paid a premium of almost 6.5 rupees. And I think the current premium for the 240 put strike is the same, around 6.5. He wants to know what to do with this one. Gaurav, I'm going to come to you. Vedanta, if you look at the stock in the last at least 8 to 9 trading sessions, we've seen some losses coming about, but it's just been down between 0.5% to 1% every day. What would you suggest our viewer to do? He's holding the 240 put strike, for which he's paid a premium of 6.5.
Well, if you look at Vedanta, you will observe that 238 to 40 has been a very strong support, and there are multiple occasions where the stock has bounced back from these levels. As long as it's trading above 240, I would not be bearish in the name. I would not buy either, but then again, I would just keep it off my radar. For him, if he already bought the put, I think he can have a stop loss of 246 on the spot side. Once it sustains 246, there is a possibility we may see some amount of short current that can lead it towards level of 251, 252. So he can have a stop loss of 246. Once it breaks 240, I think he'll start making quick bucks in a day or two.
Okay, so, well, there you have it. That's a view on Vedanta coming specifically with respect to the 240 June strike price. And we'll move on to the next query, and this one comes from Shravan Kumar on Facebook. He says that he's taken an intraday position in Raymond's June futures at around 986.7. I'm assuming this is towards the long side. His question is, what should he do? So let's pull up the Raymond June futures right now. If he has gone long on his futures, he's looking at a potential profit right now, considering it's currently trading at around 1001, the June futures. Its open interest is where there's not too much change, and it's trading at a little bit of a premium too. Ashish, what's going on with this one, and what levels should Shravan Kumar keep an eye on when it comes to Raymond's?
No, I think 985 is very critical, and if these levels are not broken on downside, Raymond has a potential to test 1025, 1030 zone. Even if you look at, it has been falling since 1150 and it has formed some base around 950, and since then it is making a higher top, higher bottom formation. I think ideally 985 should be kept as a trading stop loss for long positions in Raymond's.
Okay, that's a view coming in on Raymond's. Let's move on and take the query on BEML on Facebook. Nutan Shingala writes to us. Nutan's got the 900 call strike of BEML, and he's also got Bharat Financial 1200 call strike, and also wants to know the approach for Bank Nifty today. I'm going to take one query at a time. Gaurav, first, thought on BEML 900 call strike. Not mentioned the premium he's paid, but how is it looking?
Well, for trading perspective, one can expect a bounce. We have seen that it has been finding supports at 868, 870 zone, and even when the market has been weak, it is still finding some grounds over there. I think since 900 is not too far away, one can hold it. I think if it sustains the 900 mark, if it crosses 900, it can easily go to a level of 925, 930. So I think it's a good trade. You can hold on for stop loss. Use the stop loss of it.
Gaurav, if I could interrupt you, I've just got one more message from Nutan. 41 is the premium which is paid on BEML 900 call strike. So currently that premium is lower. What would you suggest to do?
Have a stop loss of 27, 28. It's currently quoting at 33, 34. One can have a stop loss of 27, 28. And as I mentioned, if 900 is crossed, it can head towards target price of 50, 52 also. So one can have a stop loss of 27, 28.
Put a stop loss, Nutan. You can hold on to the position. The next one is on Bharat Financial 1200 call strike, for which premium of almost 16 rupees has been paid, and that too has fallen to almost 10 to 11. Ashish, what would you suggest?
Bharat Financial, I think it has been showing a very strong uptrend for last couple of few weeks, and I think even in today's trading session we are not seeing much of the activity happening. But I think around 1168 there is a strong support, and if it breaks 1168, I would suggest to exit long positions in the call option. But if 1168 is not broken, there can be a pullback towards 1190, 95 in the futures segment of Bharat Financial, and at that point of time he can look for taking an exit position in the call option as well.
All right, and well, I think Nutan's final query was on the Bank Nifty. Gaurav, I know you have addressed the Bank Nifty, but if you could repeat it for our viewers, how would you approach the Bank Nifty right now, especially given the sharp decline that we've seen in the last 10 odd minutes?
Well, there are multiple strikes like 26,500, 26,400 put option that are seeing good amount of OI concentration. I don't see that we will see a lot of pressure come in Bank Nifty. Yes, it can fall another 60 points, but overall I think bounce can be expected in Bank Nifty. For trading perspective, I think 26,700 call option quoting at 20, that can be a decent trade. One can have a stop loss of 510 rupee. If the bounce comes towards 25,650, also 100 rupee bounce from the current price, I think the option can go towards the level of 50 rupees. So this is what is favorable. One can buy.
Okay, I'm just going to pull up one stock which has just moved higher. Pull up Motherson Sumi, though the markets, they seem to be at the lows of the day. 10,786 is where Nifty is trading, but Motherson Sumi, I think that's almost a day's high at 3131% higher. Ashish, is there any trade here?
So I think it has been consolidating at a lower end of the range for many days, and I think 316.17 is an important level, and if it crosses this time 317, I think there can be a good pullback trade which might which we might witness in Motherson Sumi, which can take stock towards 332 zone. So buy only about 317, and at that point of time one can keep a stop around 312 levels.
One of the interesting moves today is that while there is weakness in TCS, Infi remains flat. Of course, this is after it goes ex-dividend today. HCL Technologies has starting to move up, and well, it's actually currently trading at 936 after some weakness and some volatility seen over the previous few sessions. It's up around 1.2%. Open interest seeing a little bit of an increase right now. Gaurav, how would you approach HCL Technologies right now?
For trading, I think HCL Technology might not give you that much of a return. If somebody has to have a view for a positional bet, one can have a stop loss of 905, 910 on the upside. Targets of 960, 965 can be seen. There is going to be incremental volatility going ahead. So I would be a little bit skeptical for trading perspective, but for positional view, I think this can be one of the better names.
Okay, that's HCL Technologies. Some bit of support at least coming in from these IT stocks today. HCL is trading with gains of over 1%. Well, on that note, I would like to thank both our guests, Ashish and Gaurav. Thanks a lot for joining us today and taking us through your views in the derivatives market and also helping our viewers with your query. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show. Thanks a lot for watching, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint for more news and updates.